everybody. Hello. Oh my goodness, I am so excited to be here and so grateful to be here. It's kind of been a week at my house and I'm so excited to sit down and settle in and just craft with you. Just hang out for a little while and we're going to try and get three layouts done today, friends. I'm not sure about that third one, but I think we can do it. If you'll just let me know in the comments, make sure that you can see me, hear me. I can see your comments. So Tina says that she will use Canada trip photos on these layouts. Anyway, I'm so excited to create with you and to be here. I'm so grateful to Catherine and the SCT team for having me here, and I'm just thrilled to be part of this weekend. I want to apologize a little bit ahead of time. I've been a little bit under the weather this week, so if my voice sounds a little bit off, that's why. And if I mute myself for just a minute, it's just so I'm not coughing in your ear. Um, anyway, so I've been a little bit under the weather. I've had some technical difficulties. Had to get a new computer, which is great to have a new computer, but kind of getting it set up, especially ahead of an event weekend, has been a little bit interesting. So I'm really excited to be here and to just sit back and craft. So, do you have any questions about my class to start off with, or should we jump right in? I see so many friends here. Rami, Nancy, Lori, Tammy, Glenda, Doreena's here. I know Patty's here. Megan and Catherine, Debbie, Andrea's here. Lisa, so many friends. I'm so grateful to have you guys here because without you guys being here, I wouldn't be able to be doing what I love, which is doing this, teaching and connecting with you guys through scrapbooking and documenting memories. So Anne Marie says, I'm going to use pictures of my parents in the 1950s. There's one where I think they're setting off on their honeymoon. That is amazing. I have actually been trying to track down, I want to get wedding photos from my grandparents and my husband's grandparents and put them up, those beautiful black and white photos in our guest room. Um, anyway, but I'm missing one. I don't think that my mom's parents have a wedding photo, so I might have to change my plans a little bit. But I love working with heritage photos. They are so much fun, and they are perfect for this class because they are often printed in a bigger format. So often, like one of the wedding photos I've got is I think is it 11 by 17? Anyway, it's quite a bit bigger. I'm going to have to scan that one in and downsize it to fit on my wall. But yes, I can't wait. You guys, please, as you finish your projects, upload them into the group. I know us as instructors, we get so excited to see what you guys create, all of the fun variations that you come up with our classes. We definitely learn from you guys. I love scrolling through the groups, and so often I will look at it and I'll be like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? That is such a fabulous idea. So we love, love, love seeing your work. Make sure and upload them in the group, and then I don't know if I'll get there this weekend. We'll try, but definitely next week I'll be scrolling through the group to see what everybody has been working on. So, all right, friends, let's jump in. Oh, Paula says, I love your flowers behind you. They're so pretty. Thank you. These actually came from my front yard. I looked out my window this morning and, because I haven't been feeling great, and I said, you know what? I just want to put some pretty flowers in my office. So I went out and picked some flowers this morning to kind of brighten up my space a little bit. Kathy says, I made my mom and dad pages about 15 years ago with their wedding photos, my grandparents' wedding photos, and my sister's wedding, complete with copies of their invitation and wedding registration. Oh my gosh, Kathy, that's a fantastic idea. Wow, that would be so much fun. I might look into that. That would be a great gift idea. Um, that would be fun to gather up, all of my siblings' wedding photos and stuff like that. Dorina says, I'm working on the heritage photos going back to late 1890 later this year and doing some of my mother's albums from the 1930s through 50s by rebinding the albums so I can keep her handwriting. Wow. Oh my gosh, you guys, this makes me so excited. I want to see all your projects. I want to see everything you're working on. Please post them in the group. And if you don't post them on the group, if you post them on social media, just tag me so I can see it. And yeah, Dorina says your flowers are beautiful. Mine aren't in bloom yet. Yeah, some of mine are. Some of them are blooming, and some of them are just still really tight little buds. So these ones just started blooming in the last few days. So, all right, friends, I've got my drink here. I got some water. I've got some tissues off to the side, just in case. And let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to switch over to my desk, but I'll still be here up in the corner. And as I mentioned in my meet and greet, and I'm sure you guys have been following along in your beautiful guidebooks that Lisa Hedrick and Catherine put together for us. And we are starting, my class starts on page 15. You've got your kit supplies. We're working with the beautiful Hello, It's Me collection from Rosie's Studio and Spellbinders. And this is a great everyday collection. There are so many possibilities of themes that you can create with, and you'll kind of see that as we go through my layouts. You've got your student supplies list here. Really, there's only a couple of things that are a little bit different maybe from other supply lists. We talked about this in my meet and greet, but just a border punch, but you can definitely do without if you do not have one of those. And the other thing is, the 1/8 of an inch foam strips. And these are also, they're kind of optional. You don't have to have a foam strip, but we're going to use these to make a pocket for some hidden journaling. And I will show you how to do that on the first layout. This is something I've just recently started doing, and I really, really like it. So we'll get going on that in just a minute. And I think that's everything. Julie says, hi, Becki. Thank you for no homework. Yes, homework is great. And sometimes it's necessary for some projects. For this class, I really just wanted everybody to be able to kind of sit back and relax and just create along with me without having to have homework done. So anyway, I'm glad that you're enjoying having no homework. Christine says there are some awesome pages in this collection. Yes, and we have the entire collection pack in your kit and plus 2 pieces of white cardstock. We do not use that all to create these 4 layouts, so you will have some leftovers and we can do anyway some more fun projects even after we do 4 layouts. Remy says, yes, I'm team no homework. Yeah, there is a place for homework, and by the way, I mean, crafting homework is the best homework, for sure. But I thought it would be kind of nice to jump in and just get started and not have to worry about homework. So, okay, let's get started, friends. So we're going to start here on page 17. There is one thing I wanted to note in my homework, or excuse me, not homework, in my instructions. Right here on step number 10, you'll see I made a note. In my instructions, I referred to this tag as a piece of ephemera from the ephemera pack. it is not actually from the ephemera pack. It's a cut apart from one of the pattern papers. So if you just want to make a note to yourself, like I did here in my instructions, that it's a cut apart paper, not a piece of ephemera. Okay, so I just went ahead and I've got highlighted my measurements highlighted here, and I'm going to set my instructions up there so I can work right along with you. We'll set those layouts that we are not working on right now aside. I don't know if you guys have ever used these plastic, I think they're 13 by 13 envelopes from scrapbook.com. They are one of my favorite products that I reach for all the time. And I just went ahead and pulled all of the supplies that I need for this class into those pink, or I guess they're not all pink. Some are white, some are green, but they're fantastic for keeping little bits and pieces and kits together. You should definitely try them if you haven't done so already. Kim says, I've been having power outages and I'm finally here. Oh no, Kim, I'm so glad that you finally made it. That's a bummer having power outages on this crafting weekend together. Jill says, love this collection. I have it from Megan's class in Markham. Yes, Megan did a gorgeous class in Markham with this collection. Maria says she has tried them, the plastic envelopes. Yes, plastic envelopes are awesome, and I keep them. I have kind of right under my desk here, I have a basket where I keep those, and I use them all the time. Okay, so we have 3 photos that we're working with on this layout, an 8 by 10 and 2 3 by 3 squares. So because I'm just going to use placeholders for my photos today so that later on I can add different photos and I'm not ending up with 2 layouts that are exactly the same. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I did cut my paper ahead of time, but I'm going to go slow enough that, hopefully go slow enough that you can cut, because there's actually minimal cutting. The other thing I did ahead of time that it's totally not necessary, but because I've got my camera and my desk, if I punch on my desk, my camera shakes and it's this whole thing and it's noisy. So I did that ahead of time. Not necessary either. And you don't even have to use the punch if you'd like. I am going to show you quickly the paper that this, let me open this quickly. I don't have a full sheet of it, but this is the paper that I cut the border strips out of. So if you're wondering which paper it was, these are the strips, or this is the paper. Okay, so the background for this first project is this yellow floral. Reminds me of like a beautiful wallpaper that would be, I don't know, like a fancy house in, I don't know, somewhere. But I love this. It reminds me of pretty wallpaper. And honestly, this one kind of does too. So the first strip that we cut is out of this one, and it is 7 inches by 12 inches. And remember, friends, that if I am moving too quickly or you need to pause, you can, and then come back. It's no big deal. We have a little bit, you've got time to do whatever you would like to this weekend. So I am, oops, I covered up my instructions here. Okay, and we want to go about 3.5 inches. So let me get my magic ruler here from my SCT ruler. And we're going to go about 3.5 inches from the bottom. We want this to be a little bit off-centered. We want a little bit more space at the top there. And then after that, we are going to place these 2 strips. And these strips, before I punch them out with my scallop border punch, I cut them at 3/4 of an inch by 12 inches. And this is the darker pink. There are 2 on this pattern paper. There are 2 shades of pink. There's this darker pink and the lighter pink. We'll come back and use this lighter pink on a project let me think. I think it's actually our next project, the double page layout. But it's these darker pink strips are the ones that you want for this layout. And again, those are 3/4 of an inch by 12 inches. And we're just going to take this first strip, and honestly, it's up to you how far. 3.5 inches, Christine asks, 3.5 inches from the top or bottom? From the top. Yeah, so 3.5 inches down from the top is where you want to place this black floral paper. And then I'm just tucking those scallops in a little bit. You honestly could leave them clear out as well. In fact, I think I actually might do that. I like the look of that on this one. And we'll just show you on this one that I'm creating today a different option. On my sample, which I'll pull in just a second, I tucked them in a little bit. On this one, we're going to do just a little bit of a different look and not tuck them behind the black paper. Okay, so there are those 2 strips in place, and I'll just show you side by side here the difference and just leaving those stripes poking out a little bit further or not. Bonnie says, I just noticed that I grabbed the wrong floral. Still looks great, so I'm going with it. Absolutely. There are several. Let me show you. There are a few black actually black florals in this pack that we don't use. So absolutely, go with it. Yes, the florals and the collection, the florals and the colors in this collection are so good. And there's so many different possibilities. You know, looking at a few of these finished layouts that I just uploaded the photos in the group. So they're available there if you need to click on them and zoom in and check anything out in detail. They are in the album in the group. And some of them, you know, they almost looks like it could be totally different collections because there's so many color possibilities here. Okay, and you guys, with those 3 pieces, I guess 4 pieces, including the background, that is all we need for the background. And then the beauty of this, friends, one of the things that I love the most about working with large photos is you will see how quickly projects come together. Like this layout will come together in a matter of minutes. So let's go ahead and do our photos next. And I've got 3 photos on this layout. This one that is an 8x10, and we're going to go ahead and just adhere that. I guess I didn't need to flip it over, but here we are. And we are going to put the 8x10 photo a 1/2 inch from the top let's see, 1/2 inch from the top and left side of the background. So it's going right up in this left-hand corner of the page. Okay, and I did that because I wanted to be able to see more of this scallop on the bottom. Okay, and friends, you'll notice I put measurements in my instructions. When I'm actually creating, I am not very good at measuring. I really honestly prefer to just build the project, and then if I have to write instructions, then I go back and measure. But while I'm creating, I honestly don't measure. Okay, and so then we have 2 photos here off on the left side, and I think, or excuse me, the right side. I think this is the beauty of using a combination of large photos and smaller photos, because really what I want to focus on this layout is this big group photo of me and my mom and my husband and my daughter going to this class together and having fun and learning something new. Yes, I want to highlight the projects that we worked on as well, because I think, a few years down the road, it'll be fun for someone to look back on this and be like, oh, that's where that snowflake or sunflower, stained glass came from that's hanging in my mom's living room. Because it is they call it a snowflake. Honestly, I think it's just going to hang in my living room all the time because it's so beautiful and it catches the light. Anyway, so I wanted to highlight those photos as well, but I want this big photo to be the main focus. So on my page, my sample here, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see, but I did tuck my photos under this big photo a little bit. That's optional. You don't have to. The reason I did that is because I wanted about an equal spacing on both sides, just for design. Virginia says, love that you are trying stained glass work. Another great hobby. It is another great hobby. It's been so fun. We've been taking a class about once a month, and it's really been fun. Anyway, so that's why I tucked those photos in a little bit, is because I wanted that equal measurement. If that doesn't work for your photos, go ahead and shift and make it work for your specific project. But for these ones, it worked best to just tuck them under just a little bit. Okay, so go ahead and take your 3x3 photo that goes on the bottom, and you can go ahead and place that. Actually, you know what, friends? Let's start with this one. Let's do the pocket first. That's how I did it in the instructions. So this is where you'll need your 1/8 of an inch adhesive foam strips. If you don't have those, they will just regular like tape, double-sided tape adhesive will work. I've just found that I prefer the foam because it just makes it a little bit easier to slide whatever, whether it's another photo or a tag or, some tickets, like something like that. It's just a little bit easier to get them in and out of the pocket. Okay. So these 1/8 of an inch strips, I get mine from scrapbook.com. You can also get them with Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. But they are another type of adhesive that I've added to I've got a drawer here to my left that I keep like my most used adhesives, the drawer that I reach into every time I sit down at my desk. I've started keeping these in this drawer for this reason. Jill says, Becki, I have the exact foam because I bought it for your class in Markham. Yes, if you take one of my classes, it's pretty likely that these foam strips will be in the supply list. Okay, so we're just putting that foam adhesive on 3 sides of your photo. So you want it on both sides and the bottom of your photo. We'll go ahead and trim down the excess. Another reason I was going to mention that I like to get this adhesive at scrapbook.com is because they have different thicknesses. This that I'm using today is a 1mm thickness, so it's not very thick. I can show you here. Like this, the black ones are 3mm, and this is a 1mm. It's much, much thinner, and it gives you just that little bit of extra space to slide your tag or, you know, your interactive element in place or in and out of the pocket. Okay, so again, I'm going to reach for this cute ruler that I'm definitely going to need more than one of these rulers, Catherine, if you're listening. I love it. This is a dream. Okay, so this photo, make sure you've got your pocket side up and you want it to go about, let me read my instructions, 2.5 inches from the top. So just right up against, or you can slightly tuck it under, whichever works for you. And you've got that pocket there. And then your tag just slides out so much easier with that little bit of foam adhesive. Okay, so now that we have that photo in place, we're just going to take this second 3x3 photo. I already put adhesive on it because, yeah, I was going to place it first. Anyway, but we're good to go. So now we've got our 8x10 photo and our 2 3x3 photos. And that's honestly the base of the layout, friends. How is everybody doing? Let me, give me a little heart in the comments, little smiley face. Make sure everyone is doing well. Another thing that I always have at my fingertips are these stack and sort trays. We also oh, excuse me, sorry, that was loud. There's this fun tray from a previous Crop and Create that Catherine had that you can use to separate your embellishments. I always keep my embellishments separate for each project. Okay, good. Everybody's doing good. There are really not many embellishments. Let's see, question, where is the tag? Laura, that's a great question. In the instructions, it says it's in the ephemera pack, but it is actually, I'll pull the pattern paper out real quick so you can see. It is just cut from a pattern paper. This is the pattern paper. And I just cut it out right from there. Okay. So there's where that tag came from. Next, we are going to work on embellishing. So I always say in my classes, there are 3 elements to a layout that are most important to me. This might be different for everyone else, but I want to make sure that I have 3 elements on my page before I jump into kind of the fun embellishing part of the layout. And that is my photos, my title, and my journaling. So I have 2 of those already in place. I've obviously got my photos, and then my journaling will go here. So I know exactly where that's going to be. I don't have to worry about you know, covering that up accidentally with embellishments, because I don't know about you, but friends, sometimes I get a little bit carried away with my embellishments. And if I don't have my journaling planned out in my head in advance or physically on the page, I'll get done and I'll be like, oh, I don't have journaling space for my journaling. And then I have to kind of either backpedal and fix it or come back with a plan B. So those three elements, a title, my photos, and journaling, are the top three things that I always put on my pages first. Now this one, I'm actually going to create a little embellishment cluster to put my title on. But before I even put that, I knew exactly where I wanted my title to go. I just knew that putting this beautiful puffy sticker right onto that black background was not going to work. You weren't going to see it. So I knew that I needed to build that up a little bit to make my title stand out. So that's what we're going to work on. All right, I'm so happy to see lots of smiley faces and hearts in the comments. And it looks like everyone's doing well, and I think I've gotten all the questions. If I've missed anything, add your question back to the chat. I don't mean to miss it, friends. Just doing all the things here. Okay, so let's get going on this embellishment cluster that is going to hold our title. So there are actually only 4 die cuts that you will need for this page, and they all come from the one die cut pack. The let's see, it's just die cut cardstock ephemera. There are 118 die cuts in this, friends. There's a duplicate of everything in here, so all of these die cuts, there we go, all of these die cuts, you get 2 of them. So the possibilities are endless here. You can embellish until your heart's content, and then you'll probably still have die cuts left over. Anyway, so we're going to start out with a couple of die cuts to make this embellishment cluster. The base here is this beautiful, and you guys, maybe a hydrangea? Catherine says, an amazing package of ephemera. It is. It really is. There's so much of it, and I do love that they have duplicates. It's kind of fun to have 2 different pieces of your favorite die cuts. So what I'm doing here with this die cut, and it's totally up to you whether you have photos in place or whether you have just, you know, photo holders like I do. I am putting my foam adhesive on the back. So these are foam squares from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. They're my favorite foam squares. These are the 1mm again, so it's got a little bit of a dimension, but not a ton. And because I don't have my photos here yet, I'm only going to place adhesive down here on this side, and then I'll be able to go back in and add my photos later. So you can do it this way. You can adhere them down, whichever works for you. Tracy says, I love that there are double die cuts in the package. Yes, it is so nice. So nice to have so many extra pieces. Okay, so now that we have this blue floral die cut in place, I'm going to do the same thing here on this book. And just put some foam squares. I have kind of gotten in the habit, I put a lot of foam adhesive on my die cuts. It's up to you. You don't have to put that many. Kim says, I've never seen Rosie's studio before, and it's stunning. It is stunning. And I can tell you, friends, I can't show you, but I'm working on some other projects for Spellbinders with Rosie Studio products. And I can say this, just keep an eye out for their holiday lines, because I think you'll be interested. Anyway, that's what I've been kind of working on as I've been listening to everyone's classes. Okay, so now I have this book die cut ready to go in place, which I'm curious, that is kind of a theme in this collection. There is a reading theme. I'm curious how many of you guys are readers in here. You read, you enjoy reading. I love to read, and for years and years and years, when my kids were younger and I was, there was a lot going on, I listened to tons and tons of audiobooks. But recently, I have picked up some books at the library and have started reading like actual paper books before I go to sleep tonight. Or I will tonight, but go to sleep at night. But I have enjoyed reading so much lately. Delphine asks, let me see, hang on just a minute. Do you actually take the phone backing off when you have placed your photo? That's an excellent question, and one, it's totally a personal preference, but most often I don't. I prefer not to have things stuck to my photos, but that's a personal preference. So honestly, when I go in to and add photos to these layouts after I'm done, I most likely will not go back and add or take off the backing. All right, oh my gosh, lots of readers. I want to chat about books with you guys. Maybe we'll have to start a reading thread in the group because I would love some book recommendations. Darla says she's read 132 books this year so far. Oh my gosh, you're reading circles around me. I've only read, I'm probably getting close to the 20 mark. But anyway, it's been a really fun hobby, and that's one thing that I will probably create with the leftovers of this class is a layout about some books that I've read. The most, Angela says, sorry, where is the green tag again? Excellent question. The green tag comes right from here, from this pattern paper. It goes right in there. Okay, Andrea says, I can really only do audiobooks in English. It's the only way I don't get distracted. Also, when I multitask, I can't multitask when I am listening to audiobooks. See, I love to listen to audiobooks while I'm scrapbooking. If I can kind of turn my brain off and scrapbook just for myself, not for a work project or anything, I'm a happy girl. Kathy says, I'm a 500 books this year already. Oh my gosh. Okay, friends, after class, I'm going to start a thread in the group because I would love to hear about all of the books you've been reading. The most recent one that I finished was the new one by Frederick Bachman. He wrote A Man Called, did you say Uwe? And his new one called My Friends. That's the one that I've read most recently that I absolutely loved. I don't know if I loved it as much as A Man Called Uwe, but really, really great book. Okay, so I'll start that layout after class because honestly, I could just sit here and talk to you about books for hours. Back to the layout. So I added this one die cut here, just the little flower cluster on the bottom right of the book. And now it's time to add your title. See, I love the reading, writing theme of this collection. One of my layouts will have photos of my daughter meeting her favorite author. Yes, I saw recently, I was so jealous. In fact, I texted her. I don't know if Allie Skifton is in here. She got to meet and have Frederick Bachman sign her book. I don't know if you follow her on social media, Fun Adventures with Allie. Anyway, I was so jealous. So the title for this layout is Beautiful Happy Place. Of course, you are welcome to make the title for this layout whatever works for you. And I'm just punching out the kind of the inside pieces of these stickers that are left there in the manufacturing process. I don't know if you guys know this, because sometimes you'll see the insides of these stuck, and I might have to reach around here and get my paper piercer. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get my paper piercer. 1 second, friends. Get my paper piercer that's like, this is truly vintage. I don't know if you guys remember the company Imaginess. Anyway, but in the manufacturing process, it's actually more expensive, much more expensive, if you have the manufacturer remove these. So oftentimes companies will leave them in to just let us take them out so they can keep their prices low. Anyway, it's just kind of a fun little manufacturing detail. One thing I would say, friends, is I went back after I placed these and used liquid adhesive to make sure that they stay in place, because you kind of have to handle these stickers quite a bit to get the inside pieces out, and it takes some of the sticky off. So I'm just going to come in with a little bit of liquid adhesive and just add a few dots of liquid adhesive. I got a little bit too much there. And just put that in place. We'll go ahead and do that with the other two parts. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I kind of made a mess here with my adhesive. I'm not super worried about it because it dries clear, but I'll go back and kind of clean that up a little bit. Just gonna take my paper piercer here and clean up a little bit of that extra glue so I don't have huge globs of glue there. Okay. Reach back here. Another recent change I did in my craft room is I added a paper towel holder to the side of my desk. And it has been game changing to have just a roll of paper towels attached to my desk. Pamela says, my floor is, well, I do need a vacuum later. Same friend. I think we'll all need to do a little bit of cleanup after this weekend. Marianne, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Don't worry, friend. These layouts come together very quickly and easily. You'll be able to catch up in no time. And remember, friends, that everything is recorded. Catherine says, do you all... Catherine, the stories Catherine reads are emails, and that is absolutely true. I've heard the numbers of Catherine's email account, and yes, that is what Catherine reads. Yes, emails. Okay. All right, the second half of this title, so we have beautiful, and then we're getting the happy place sticker. This is off of the chipboard embellishments. And we're just going to tuck that in. It fits so nicely with right there in that title. Oh, oh dear friends, I'm just looking. I've got company at my house. My husband will have to take care of the company. And then last but not least, there's these cute glasses that I added there at the bottom. And I added those because they kind of fit the story. When you're doing stained glass, you do need to wear glasses so that you don't, to protect your eyes in case there's any, you know, chips of glass. So the glasses do have a purpose there. Okay, one more thing to finish up this this embellishment cluster here. And that's just that chipboard heart that goes right there above the word beautiful. And that finishes that one off. And then we've just got a couple little embellishments here in the top corner. Again, I'm going to do this a little bit differently than I typically would because I don't have photos in place. So I'm just putting the foam adhesive on the corners, and I'm just going to adhere it there so that I can easily, actually I'm going to do one more here so the body to my butterfly doesn't sag a little bit. And then we'll put that butterfly there. This other butterfly, the white one, is from the puffy stickers. Meredith says, I thought the glasses were reading glasses, shows my age. Yeah, they're in my world, they're reading glasses, obviously, friends, because that's what I've got on. Reading glasses have become a permanent fixture these days. Just is what it is. What did I do? Oh, there we go. We'll just add some adhesive here on the back. And then again, I'm just going to remove the backing off of that one section of adhesive and put that right there. And then I will be able to go back in and just put my photos right under there. And then there's just one last thing to finish off with this layout, and that is this tag. So I mentioned this tag is cut from the cut apart pattern paper in the paper pack. I'm just going to reach into my drawer here. I forgot to pull out my hole punch. And I've got my hole punch here. This one is from We Are Makers. And I really do like it because you can adjust what size of hole you want. So you can go from a really big one to a tiny one. My only complaint this one, it's really bulky and really heavy, but it's a nice paper punch. It's the one that I use, or a hole punch, excuse me. It's the one that I use when I'm here in my office. Okay, then I have just some white crochet thread. You can use baker's twine, you could use ribbon, you can use nothing if you don't want to. You could put a sticker at the top. And then I'll show you how I put the string in my tags so that the bow is horizontal instead of vertical. Let me show you here. So you see how here the bow goes horizontally across the tag. The way you do that here is you want to fold your thread in half and put both ends through the tag, through the hole of the tag. So you've got your loop down here and then your two ends this way. And then you take your loop and pull those ends through and pull it tight. And from there, when you go and tie your bow, then it sits horizontally on the top of your tag. Just like that. Okay, I'll do that one more time to show you because I know it's kind of hard, kind of confusing the first time you see it. But friends, I promise, once you tie your tags like this, you'll never go back to just looping it through the hole and tying it. So you fold your crochet thread in half, loop your put your two ends through the hole, take your loop and pull your other threads back through, and then tie your bow. Okay, and then you can write your journaling, you can type your journaling. We'll trim down the excess here. That bow is a little bit big. I might go back and fix that, but actually, I might not. I kind of like it. And there we go. There's layout number 1 complete. So Scrap and Fever says, great tip for the bow. Dawn, great tip. Yeah, it's a really simple trick, but it does make it it makes it much easier to get a bow that goes nice and horizontal across the top of your tag. Okay, friends, we did it. We did it. There's layout number 1 in the books. So let me know, like, everybody doing well? Do we need just a minute before we move on to project number 2? Let me put the completed project down here for just a minute while I clean up my mess so that you can see what we're working with here. I'm not going to put my stickers back in the package though, because why would we do that? We're just going to get them out again. Lisa says, completely done. Awesome. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted you guys to be crafting along with me, caught up, happy, easy, just creating together. Okay. All right. Layout 1 is in the books. Now, hang on a minute. Where did I put my... All right, here we go. See, friends, anyway, you're not the only one that loses things in plain sight. I do that as well. So we're going to pull out the supplies for the second page. I'm going to go ahead here and turn the page in my book. So we're now on page 18, creating this double page layout. And this one is documenting my memories of the incredible weekend that we had in Markham for Create and Inspire back in March. I will just say this, friends, if you ever have the opportunity and if you can ever swing it to make it work to go to one of Catherine's in-person events, do it. It will absolutely be worth it. It was amazing. Okay, so for this double page layout, we have 5 photos. So one of them is an 8x10 horizontal. The other one is 4 3x4 photos. So I've got my placeholders here. Virginia says, "Oh, loved our time together in Markham." Yes, that was the first time I've worked with Virginia and Jess and Jen Walker. Let me think who else. Anyway, so many of these ladies, and I've never met them in person before. So it was so wonderful to meet them in person and spend some time with them. Not a dumb question, Bonnie, at all, because I didn't know either. Markham is just outside of Toronto. So it's not too far from SCT headquarters. And that is where we had the in-person event. So I flew from Idaho to Toronto, and yeah, then we went from the Toronto airport. Jen Walker was so sweet and came and picked me up from the airport, and we went to Markham to the event. So Virginia says the best first hugs ever. Oh, absolutely true. Absolutely true. Kim says I would love to be there in person one day. Yes, it is. It is absolutely worth it. Okay, friends, for this double page layout, I'm going to set these aside here. I need to clean up a little bit more than I did because this is a double page layout. So in your kit, you have 2 sheets of white cardstock. They're going to look slightly, I am working today with a different brand, so that might look slightly different. But when I create a double page layout, the first thing I do is I take my 2 pieces of background paper and I tape them together with just whatever washi tape is laying around on my desk. This is a personal preference. You don't have to do this. And watching me on camera, it looks like I've never done it before in my life. This is a struggle for some reason today. I prefer to use I prefer to work with one big 12x14 canvas than work with 2 separate 12x12 pages. I just find that design-wise, they come together and are a little more cohesive. Okay, so there is my 12x24 canvas. And let's start over here on the left side. Let's see, left side of the left page. And you need 2 pieces, actually 3 pieces of pattern paper to complete the background for this layout. The teal marble pattern paper, this kind of pink floral, and then again you'll need that striped pattern paper to make these strips. And this time we're using the lighter pink strips, the lighter pink striped strips. Oh my word, I can't say that very well. Striped strips for this one. So the first piece you will need is this teal marble paper, and you'll cut the piece 4 inches by 12 inches. I'll just put some adhesive here, and this just goes all the way to the left. You're putting this right up against the left side of the 2-page spread. Then the next piece you'll need is this pink floral. Let me read. I If I could move my camera, friends, and show you kind of the mess that's surrounding me, I would, because it's comical at this point with all the cords and wires and all the things. I should have showed you before we started this, but this is the layout that we are creating. So we are covering up most of the white cardstock. We're just kind of using that as a base and just leaving a couple, the white peeking through in just a couple of different places. Okay, so the next piece is this pink kind of floral paper. Again, it reminds me of wallpaper. And you need a 7-inch by 12-inch piece. Let's see, Cynthia says, I'm so glad to be here. I finally made it to one of the lives. Why does everything happen when you plan out time for yourself? I completely understand, Cynthia. We're so glad that you're here with us for a little bit. And that is the beauty of this event, is whether you're here or not, all the classes are recorded. We're all still hanging out in the Facebook group. And it's so nice to have that flexibility with a virtual event. Okay, so this piece, this 7 by 12 piece, goes right up against the center margin of the page. So if you need to, with your pages washi taped together, you can go ahead and just flip this back and line that up perfectly. Press that down and then flip it back out. Let's see. I don't usually do double page layouts. Any tips for doing this as a 1-page spread? That is a good question. Let me think about that for just a minute. I would probably just make the size of my photos a little bit smaller. So maybe make your 8 by 10 photo a 5 by 7, and then a line of smaller photos you could do like square, like 2 by 2, 2 or 3 by 3. And so I'd put my, this isn't going to look exactly right because these are photos are the wrong size, but I think you can see what I'm talking about if I do it this way. So if you just kind of shrink that down a little bit with your photo sizes, then I think you could do it on a single page. Okay. All right, next we are going to take this 3 by 12 piece. So cut a 3 by 12 piece of this pink and white floral, and it's going to go right here up against the center, the seam of your pages, or of your page. Yeah, I guess pages. And oh, I'm out of adhesive. There's a reason that I put 2 of these on my desk for today. Okay, so we'll add that strip right there. And then the next piece is again with this green marble, and it's 8 inches by 12 inches. And this one is going to go all the way to the right on this layout. So again, you're going to have a little bit of a gap in between your pink and your teal papers, but we're going to come back to that here in just a second. Okay, get a drink real quick. Okay, all right. Then we have these strips that we're doing the same thing that we did on layout 1. I didn't write the measurements on the back of these ones, but they are 3/4 of an inch by 12. And this one, and then I did use my scallop border punch. And this one, again, you know, I tucked it underneath on my first layout. Show you right here. So you can only see just a little bit. I think I'm going to do the same thing that I did on this first one. And I'm going to go ahead and just adhere this one without tucking it in. And then you can do whatever works for you. Okay. And then this other strip, Gail says you could also do a vertical 5x7 and add 4 2.5 by 3.5 photos beside it. Basically another 5x7. Yeah, that would work. That would be awesome. Hopefully, I would, please post your, you know, if you size this down for a single page layout, I would love to see how you make that work. Make sure and put photos of your completed project in the albums in the group. Okay. So there, with just those few pieces, we have our background complete. So let's get our photos in place, and then for the purposes of, I don't have enough space, I'm going to fold this back and just work on one page at a time for embellishments, just because I don't have, when I've got my filming set up, it's kind of hard to keep everything, I don't have a ton of space, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so this 8x10 horizontal photo, you'll want to place this centered top to bottom. So let me give you, I'll just use my pink ruler here. And that means you're 2 inches. 2 inches from the top and bottom is centered. Okay. And so we'll have that photo in place. And again, to emphasize the story, you know, this is the teaching staff. I think this is all the teachers, except Jen. Anyway, I'll tell you who these are, who everyone is real quick. This is Kim Kesty, Gina Kay, Megan, me, Jen Walker, Andrea Lake, Virginia, Jess, and Catherine. And so that's kind of what I wanted to focus on of this story was, you know, kind of the opening meeting where we were all on stage together, and then further emphasize the story by adding a few photos of friends that, you know, are not in that main photo. So we put that one photo in place, and then we've got these smaller ones. You could also replace, let me pull this. You could also replace this with one more larger photo too. You could do a 6x8 photo here. You could do a 5x7 photo here. You could do a collage of smaller photos here. Lots of different options there. So we'll go ahead and put these photos in place, and I'm just putting them directly across on the right side of the page. This is another reason that I really like to tape my pages together, because then it makes lining photos up so that they are cohesive on both pages so much easier than trying to, you know, hold things together and measure and all that kind of stuff. So we'll put one more photo here. And one photo here. Okay. All right, now that we have the photos in place, I'm going to go ahead and fold this back just so it's a little bit easier to maneuver and so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Again, I have my die cuts here in the tray set aside. There are a few more die cuts. Whoops, I got 2 of those camera ones in there. We only need 1. But I was just going to pull these out and show you really quick which die cuts you need for this page. While I put this camera away. There's only a few. But these are the ones that you need for this page. So I'm just going to set these ones back in my tray because they go on this other page, and let's just focus on this one. So this embellishment cluster, most of it I adhered with foam adhesive. So I'm going to just go ahead and put some foam adhesive on the back of this die cut. Let's do one in the middle so my camera isn't sagging. And one on this side. This blue flower cluster kind of goes up at the top, so we'll just put one up here at the top. And then this one fits in kind of in the middle, so we'll put some foam adhesive there. Okay, so I'm going to start with this blue floral cluster because it's the one that's kind of, I guess, more towards the bottom. And this one overlaps the photo just a little bit. Again, if that interferes with, you know, something important on your photo, you can shift it a little bit. We'll go ahead and put this right there. And then, oh, hang on, I might be short. I do need one more die cut. Let's reach into this really quick. Where's my other? Oh, here it is. My other stack insert tray. We'll dump all these out. So I'm missing a white floral cluster. We'll look through this really quick while I'm looking for this. Friends, how is everybody doing? Let me know in the comments. Make sure that everyone is doing well and just happy crafting along with me. There we go. Okay, that's the other die cut I was looking for. Okay, so we'll put this one just right there. Okay. And then the pink. We'll put the pink down as well. I'm just going to put my camera here to make sure that I've got the spacing how I want it. Catherine says, so happy we all stopped long enough to get a photo. Yes, I am so grateful. I don't know, I think somebody put that in the Facebook group and I was able to grab it from there. But I'm so happy to have that photo. I think it's about the only photo that we have of all of us. It was such a full, busy weekend. We didn't get a lot of photos together. Julie says, doing great and happy to be here, adapting the layouts to my big photos. Yes. Question, did you pop up the pictures? I don't believe so. Let me double check. I did not. Friends that are saying they need a copy of that photo, I think I just got it out of the Facebook group because I didn't have anybody taking pictures for me. I'm pretty sure that's where I got it. Because everybody that I would have asked for that photo is in that photo. Okay, and then we're going to tuck these little green leaves right in there for a pop of green in that embellishment cluster. And then let's go ahead and put my title in place. I would love to know, let's see, question, how far down did the photos start? So it's just the same as this page, so 2 inches down from the top and bottom. They're just centered, just straight across from the 8.5 by, or excuse me, the 8 by 10 photo. And then the embellishment cluster is about 5 inches. 5 inches from the top. Okay, for this project, the title I'm putting is Living My Dream. And I know that title may not work for everyone, so I'm curious, which title are you going with on this layout? So I'm going to do Living My Dream, because it really was a dream come true to be a part of that event. I'm just going to remove the inside pieces here. Let's see, PSs, I'm using Amazing. That would be that one would fit so cute right here. That would be a really beautiful pop of black. Okay, so there is my title. I'm going to come back later and put the liquid adhesive on that one. And then let's pull in our chipboard. And we need this little heart cluster to go down here at the bottom. And then I have this other cute little pink heart that goes right there on the lens of the camera. I don't know why, I just think the lens of a camera is the perfect place to put a heart. I find myself doing that quite often. And then we'll finish this off with a couple of puffy stickers. I've got this teal flower that goes right there. Yellow one that goes right there. The pink one comes right over here. And then that cute little bee. Let's see. My Heart is Full. That's a good title. Making It My Own. Day in the Life of a Cat. I'm using Living My Dream. My layout has photos from a dream trip to Western Canada several years ago. That's awesome. I can't wait to see what you guys are working on. It's so much fun. Okay, friends, so that's it for this embellishment cluster. I wanted to talk a little bit about journaling real quick before we go on to this next embellishment cluster. I think there are a couple of different options for places to put your journaling, and I left it, I guess I'm leaving it up to you where to put your journaling on this page, because it really depends on how much journaling you have. If you have just a couple of lines of journaling, I would probably put it right here. With my page, and I will probably have more to say than just a couple of lines, I'm going to do several lines of journaling strips right here. The other thing that you could do is make one of these photos, well, probably one of these two top photos, into a pocket like we did on the first layout, and hide your journaling there if it's journaling that you would like to be hidden, or if you just really like the design of it and you want and you just want to keep the focus on the design and not the journaling. So those are a couple of options for journaling. Dorina says, thank you so much, Becky, enjoying the class, but I have to leave for a funeral. Oh, Dorina, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your loss. We will be here when you get back, whenever you get back. Lots of hugs to you. Okay, so let's move on to this last embellishment cluster. And the kind of the base of this embellishment cluster comes from 2 die cuts. This larger floral cluster that goes right here on the corner. Oh, there it is. And then this camera, strip of pink cameras, the die cut. And it goes right there. Okay, the last die cut in this embellishment cluster is just that butterfly that goes right there. And the rest are puffy stickers and chipboard stickers. And I'm going to pull my layout out over here because it will be a little bit easier for me to see which stickers I'm looking for. Okay, so the little pink, these are puffy stickers that are just kind of adding a little bit more texture and dimension. And then last but not least with the puffy stickers, we have these 2 hearts right here to go at the end of that row of cameras there. Okay, so on to the chipboard stickers. The one that fit my layout the best, the story I am telling, is this My Heart is Full. So that's the one that I am using. Feel free to use whichever one works best for you. And then again, since this one overlaps the photo a little bit, I'm only going to remove the backing on the top here because we want to be able to see those cameras. Okay. And then there's this one little pen chipboard piece that we put right there. All right, friends, so with that, this one is complete. So we've got a double page spread using 1 horizontal 8x10 and 4 vertical 3x4 photos. Here's what it looks like with all the photos. Let's see. Patty asked, question, is Rosie Studio doing more than one collection? I haven't heard of them before. Yes, they are. They have several different collections. Of course, off the top of my head, I cannot think of all the names of them. But if you go to scrapbook.com and search, there are several Rosie Studio collections, and then there are a few more coming up that you'll want to keep your eye out for, especially when it gets close to the holiday season. They are a newer company from Australia that works with spellbinders. So a lot of their products you might see coming through spellbinders. I believe all their products are on the spellbinders website as well. All right, friends, let's do it. We have 30 minutes left in class, and we are going to get that third page done. Are you up for it? Let me know in the comments. Hattie says, thank you for introducing them to us. Yeah, they really are a fun company. SET says they are. Our holiday event will have one in it. Ooh, very exciting. Yeah, I'll have to, anyway, I'm curious if it's the same one I'm thinking of, Catherine. We'll have to chat. Anyway, okay, so layout number 2 is done. Let's kind of clean up a little bit and move on to layout number 3. And we have 33 minutes, friends, and we're going to make this happen. Okay, so again, I've got my pieces ready to go for this one. Get them out of my plastic folder here. All right, it sounds like you guys are on board. Everyone says, let's do it. Tabitha says they also ship direct and you can go to their website, very reasonably priced. Awesome. I will have to go check theirs out. Mine, when I've gotten Rosie Studio stuff, it's always come through Spellbinders. So we'll have to look into that. Okay, friends, let's talk about this project for just 1 minute before we get started. It's just a single page. It features one 5x7 photo, one 3x4 photo that's vertical, one that is horizontal, and then anyway, we'll just finish it off with some embellishments. So 1 second. I apologize, friends. I gotta keep drinking so I can keep talking. Okay, so let's flip our instruction book over. We're now to page 19. And this is the project we're working on. So you will need 3 pieces of pattern paper again for this layout. This black kind of geometric print is your background. Again, we'll use that striped pattern paper, just the black stripes this time. And again, 3/4 of an inch by 12 inches. And then this beautiful blue floral. And that one goes right here in the middle, and I did not write. So this one is 10 inches by 12 inches. This blue floral is. Okay, so let's go ahead, and this blue pattern paper that you're cutting into 10 inches by 12 inches, we're just going to center it. So you'll have 1 inch on the top and 1 inch on the bottom. Okay. And then you've got your black strips that whether or not you've punched them with border punch, it will work either way. Marla says, I love the black paper. I do too. This collection, often when I see scrapbook collections with this vibe, I want it in wallpaper. Like I would love that black wallpaper. Actually, I'd take any of these in wallpaper. I'm currently on the hunt. I would like to put some wallpaper in our primary bedroom. Anyway, home decor is another one of my, I have a lot of hobbies, friends. That's another one I love. decorating my house and changing things up. Okay, so we're going to put these strips on, these black striped strips of pattern paper, and they're just going to go on the top and bottom of the blue paper, and it's up to you whether or not you tuck them in. It honestly depends on how much of the stripe you want to show. It's totally personal preference. On this one, I think, again, oh, I'm gonna have to clean off my mat. I'm not gonna tuck it in this time. I think I want to leave them out and do just a slightly different look. Kim says such gorgeous paper. It is. There are really so many beautiful papers in this collection. Okay, that is all there is to the background, friends. The rest comes in with photos. So we have the 5x7 photo, and that is going to go 1.5 inches from the top of the page and 2 inches from the left of the page. So I'm just going to put my ruler here on the 2-inch mark and then come down 1.5 inches, and that's where I'm going to place my 5x7 photo. Then I'll move my ruler over here, and the first the first 3x4 photo is coming down 3.5 inches. Let me see, is that right? 3.5 inches from the top of the page and to the right of the 5x7 photo. Okay. I don't know why. I guess it's just habit. I don't know why I keep flipping these photo mats over. It doesn't matter which side I put adhesive on, but oh well. Just habit. Okay, there's that photo. And then there is this last photo, which I am tucking underneath this one, and I'm not exactly following measurements along this one. I'm just tucking it in where it fits, leaving a little bit, so it's coming about 1/2 inch maybe further out to the right than your vertical photo. Okay, so now that we have our photos in place, now I want to put the title in place. So the title for this layout, I am choosing Amazing. And I have to tell you the story behind this. I haven't written it yet, but I will. So for my daughter's birthday, her birthday is in February, we got tickets to go see Les Mis in Salt Lake City. That's the closest big city to us. And initially, I just bought 2 tickets for me and her to go. And then I was like, wait a minute, my mom would love this. My mom would want to go. So I texted my mom and she says, yeah, I want to go, get me a ticket. And so then I was like, well, we'll take my husband too. And so the 4 of us will go and kind of make a weekend of it and celebrate my daughter's birthday. So I bought the tickets, and I was trying to hurry and get tickets before they sold out. And I didn't realize that 2 of the tickets I bought were for the matinee, like the 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock showing. And the other 2 tickets I bought were for the 7 o'clock showing. So started out, I kind of messed up the tickets, but it was like, that's okay. You know, we can make it work. My husband and I went to the matinee, and then my daughter and my mom came down, and they were going to the the next showing, the evening show. So anyway, got the tickets. The day of the event comes, we went. This show was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And then we met my mom and my daughter for a quick dinner before they went into their show. Well, we were sitting kind of in the same section. I did buy all the tickets in the same section. So I explained to my mom and my sister, I'm like, hey, you just need to go in this door, go this way, and your seats are right there. So I did that, and they left dinner and went straight into the theater. And it was like, oh, probably an hour and a half early for the show. The doors were unlocked, the auditorium was empty, and they just went in and sat down. Well, they got kicked out because they were in the auditorium way too early. So they were having a great time. They said it was really cool to watch them setting up the show and everything. And then they ended up getting kicked out because they were in the auditorium too soon. So that is the story that I will be telling on this layout with these photos. Pia says I saw it in Boston. It was so good. It was so good. So good. So kind of the subtitle of this layout is True Story, because it was a little bit kind of a comedy of errors that I made in getting to this event. So True Story goes right there. So I've got my title, and again, I will come back and put some liquid adhesive on this. The True Story, and then my journaling, I'm going to fill in right up here. I'm going to type my journaling up. Lisa says, were they allowed back in to watch? Yes, they were. They made them leave until everything was set up. And then I think it's like, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes before curtain time that they let people back in. Yes, they did let them back in. They asked if they could just stay, and they said no, that they had to leave. But it was a very memorable birthday trip for my daughter that we kind of laugh about, my mom and my daughter getting kicked out of the theater. Okay, so now with my photos and title in place, and I know exactly where my journaling is, and honestly, all of my story might not fit in that little spot here. What I might do is make an accompanying page with a couple more photos from that day and put that on there too. I haven't quite decided. So let's jump in and do some of the embellishing. I had to use this cute bow somewhere on one of these pages, and I'm so glad that we have double the they are rebels. Yes, my mom especially, she likes to not be a rule follower. She doesn't like to follow the rules. Anyway, so we'll put this bow there at the top of the photo. Again, if that doesn't work with the photos you've got, you can go ahead and change that out for something different. We'll put that firefly right there. Again, I'll spread these die cuts out so that you can see which die cuts I have while I reach for my black pen. And what I did so actually, let's finish up this embellishment cluster first with just this last die cut. It was funny, Lisa. It was a funny story, and one that we will remember and probably tease my mom and my daughter about for quite some time. Okay, so that wraps up this embellishment cluster for the die cuts, and we'll move over to this side. and add in these few pieces. And we'll tuck this flower right there. It's up to you whether it overlaps the photo or doesn't. Either way works. And then with these cute hearts, I loved with this page, there's a lot of black in it and the pop of black. And I was struggling when I put this die cut here. I really liked it because I wanted to, you know, balance out the peach and kind of the peachy pink colors over here. But I also wanted to add some black. And so all I did was just outline this die cut just with a black pen. And it is not perfect. And it's not straight. It's kind of wiggly. And I think that's the beauty of it. So we'll just outline this one with a black pen. And then this one, this die cut goes right here. And this die cut does overlap the title just a little bit. It's up to you whether you want to tuck it in there under the title like that or put it over your title. On my sample, I have it over the title a little bit. On this one, I think I'm going to do the opposite and tuck it under the title. Just to give this, just so you can see both ways of doing it. If I can get it, there we go. Okay, and then I wanted to bring in a little bit more green over here to the left. Actually, I'm going to switch. I want to do smaller. The smaller pop dots right there. Just tuck that right in there. Okay, and I believe that is it. Let me double check. Oh, no, we've got one more die cut. How could I forget that pen, that cool pen? And I did pop that up. We'll just remove the backing. And then that goes right here. It nestles right under the AMA part of the title. Just and kind of points to the, what's it called, the descender on that Z. Okay, let's jump over to the chipboard next so we can get this cute camera in place. And I just layered that camera there on top of those hearts. Let's see. Oh, Patty says, and the dragonfly. The dragonfly is a puffy sticker, I believe, Patty. So we'll hop over to that in just a second. Unless am I not seeing a dragonfly? I'm missing. I think you're talking about the pink dragonfly above the flowers. And if that's the case, it's a puffy sticker. And we'll hop over there in just a second. Okay, so we'll layer that camera right there on top. And then here is the puffy sticker dragonfly that goes right. I want that dragonfly to kind of be flying towards the middle of the page rather than off the page. And then I love enamel dots. I don't know if you're like, enamel dots are one of my favorite one of my favorite embellishments. And there wasn't any in this kit, but I love that they've included these puffy dots that look like enamel dots. And so I added these 3 dots, just one here on the right and a couple on the left. You know what? Actually, I'm going to add this. I'm going to add 2 over there because I can. It's a little bit different. Canadian friends, what type of script do y'all call amazing? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Okay, and I just forgot, I don't want to forget to dot that I. All right, friends, we did it. How is everybody doing? I'm going to give you just a minute to finish that one up. We went through that one super duper fast, like 17 minutes fast, which is the beauty of using, one of the beautiful things about using a large photo is that you can whip through projects so fast because, you know, just add a title, a little bit of journaling, tiny bit of embellishment, and you're good to go. Which I know it's kind of the same steps you go through with any layout, but there's just a lot less of it when you have a big photo taking up so much of the real estate on your page. Lisa says, where did you put the journaling on the 2-page layout? I haven't added the journaling yet because quite honestly, I've got to go back to, I keep a memory planner, and I'm going to go back to my memory planner and kind of refresh my memory of everything that happened that weekend. But you've got a couple of different options for journaling. You could put journaling down here, or honestly right here, if you have just a few, a few things to say. Mine, I'm going to do journaling strips and put several journaling strips right here above this embellishment cluster. Okay, and let me grab the 4th layout. And let's use these last couple minutes to talk about that one because there are some points that I wanted to go over with this. Oh no, Kathy says, had to fight my cat. He wanted to lay on my work and I wanted to glue. Oh yeah, glue and cat laying on the project, that does not work very well. He left a claw mark on the photo. Uh-oh. Okay, friends, so this is layout number 4 for this class. It's kind of just a fun bonus project. Excuse me. And with the and we talked a little bit about this in the meet and greet, but this is an 8.5 by 11 photo, which is kind of an uncommon photo size. But the reason I went with an 8.5 by 11 photo is because I wanted to show you that you can put like a document, like diplomas, certificates, that kind of thing. I don't know about you, like right now, since my kids have graduated recently, their diplomas are hanging on my walls, or I guess my son moved out, he took his, but they hang on the walls. I don't know if they'll want to have them hanging on the walls forever. So I like to find ways to work in, an 8.5 by 11 page onto a 12 by 12 page. And that's what this one is showing. I just didn't put a certificate on there because it gives a lot of personal information, honestly. So I went with a photo, which I absolutely love. I love how it turned out. But just keep in mind that you can put a document on this layout if you would like to. And I think that that would be awesome. And I will absolutely, I've done that before and I will do it again. Like, I think it's so cute with like a little, a kindergarten diploma for graduation, this would be a perfect spot to do that. And then this little photo down in the corner with, you know, a cutie little kindergartner and in their little cap and gown. I'm just thinking of kindergarten graduation because I went to my nephew's hair a couple weeks ago. And then down here is a 3x3 photo. Again, just, I didn't realize this until just now, friends, but apparently going with 3 pattern papers on the background was the theme for this class. Unintentional, but that's what happened. So you've got kind of the peach in the background, this torn, I think it's orange, like an orange tree, and then the green stripe pattern paper that came from that same striped pattern paper, the multicolored stripe pattern paper that we've been using for all of these layouts. Again, there's 2 die cuts in the package, 2 of each die cut in the package. So a lot of these you'll see I used a couple different times because they were just so cute and so good. Anyway, so that is layout number 4. And honestly, friends, if you wanted to keep going, I am confident that you could get this layout, actually all of these layouts, wrapped up and done before, let's see, before Virginia's class starts, because they come together so quickly and easily. Okay, let me switch back here to my different camera. Okay, friends, how are we doing? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious. Really, my goal for this class is I wanted you guys to just be able to sit down, do the projects in this class with no homework before, no homework after, and I'm hoping that at least a few of you were able to accomplish that goal. It was so fun to be here today and chat with you. Again, I'm going to start a thread in the group about reading, because I would really, like, I could use up the whole 2 hours class and we could chat about books. So let's do that in the group. I'll make a thread in the group and we can talk about books, because I would love to hear what everybody's been reading. You guys, I thought I read a lot, but friends, there's some of you that read a lot more than I do. Patty says, I finished all 3 but need to add journaling. Yes, absolutely. That's kind of how I roll. I finish my layouts and then I do my journaling kind of all in a big batch. I'll get a stack of layouts done and then print my journaling all at one time. Most of my projects, I don't know if anybody will ask, but most of my projects I do type journaling. And that's not really because I don't like my handwriting, don't want to do my handwriting. For me, it's just a space thing. When I type it up, you know, I can have a whole big story and fit it into a little 2x2 or 3x3 text box. But if I handwrite it, it will be half a page. So that's how I do it. I create a whole pile of layouts and then I will go back and type up all my journaling. And I've recently started printing my journaling on sticker paper. So I just print out a whole, you know, several pages of journaling on sticker paper and then use my paper trimmer and cut them up and put them on my layouts, and then we're good to go. All right, friends, any last minute questions that you want to put into the chat for me to answer? Whether it's related to my class or not, you can add those questions to the comments and I can get those taken care of. I'm just scrolling back for a minute. So it looks like a lot of you got most of it done. A few need to print photos, which absolutely. For this class, when I taught a large layout class previously, I used some photo sizes that you couldn't get printed like at your local Walmart or Walgreens or wherever you get photos printed. For this class, I really wanted to stick with photo sizes that you could either 1, print at home, or 2, get easily printed in without having to send them out. Sarah says, but later your family will want to see your handwriting. True. And I do, not every single layout of mine um is type journaling. And I also, oh, I can't reach it from here right now, but I also keep a memory planner as well. I write in my memory planner daily and add a few photos there. So I do have my handwriting saved in some places. It's just not always on every single layout. Most of them are typed but yeah, my handwriting's still there because I agree with you. Let's see, one layout. Okay. All right, friends, it looks like everyone is doing well. Thank you again to Catherine and the SCT team for having me. What a great event, an amazing weekend. I look forward to this weekend all year long. So after we wrap up here with my class, we've still got so much. One of my favorite things about Crop and Create is coming up this evening. So you've got Virginia's class at 5:30, and then we go with Angie to do some nice, chill, relaxing watercoloring um, at 7:45. And then last but not least, I know Meg and Virginia are getting ready for cropped. Okay, one question. Rachel asked, what is a memory planner? Let me see. Mine is too far away to grab, but I just get a plain, like a planner. This one I think I just ordered on Amazon, but you can get a happy planner or, just pick one up at Walmart or Target. But instead of using it to like schedule out my days of, oh, this is what I've got to do, I use it more of like a journal. And I'll go through and then, on the day that says May 31st, today I'll probably put a photo of myself that I took just before I started my class to post on social media. I will take that photo and I will just write in there some quick memories about today. So it's a mix of a planner and a journal, I would guess. So hopefully that answers your question. And Virginia is on her way to the studio for her class. I can't wait. Virginia blows my mind. I adore her, and my brain does not work like her brain, and it's fascinating to me. I love it. I love to watch her create. Okay. All right, friends. I think that's everything. Thank you again so much for being here and taking time out of your weekend to spend with me. I am so grateful. So grateful to Catherine and the team for having me here. I'll be here chatting all weekend long. I love this event and I can't wait for the upcoming classes. It's going to be so much fun. So thank you again for joining me, and I will see you again in other classes and in the groups. I hope you have a fabulous weekend, friends.